do you think, even as an atheist, the Ten Commandments, the right side of the Ten Commandments is a good place to start?
The right side.
Well, because the left side, I think you'd have a big problem, right?
I have a problem with 8 of the 10 because only 2 of them are laws.
You got a problem with 8 of the 10?
2 of them are laws. Only 2.
What do you mean?
Don't kill.
And don't steal. Okay.
And don't steal.
Sure.
Like, I mean, this idea that God is this...
But you're good with those 2.
Like,
obviously.
the first 4 are just jealous God shit. It's just like, you know what?
No,
God,
honoring your parents is not jealous God stuff.
God's like a pimp who was in the next room, and he said, who you on the phone with there, girl? You know,
But, I mean,
I guess I'm testing that.
Hold on, but no, it's, again, I'm not offendable on this, but I think you could, I know you made fun of it in Religulous.
What happens when one of America's most outspoken atheists openly mocks God during a heated debate about morality? Because this conversation takes a turn. Fast. Bill Maher and Charlie Kirk go head-to-head over one simple question. Even as an atheist, are the 10 Commandments still a good moral foundation? Sounds like an easy question, right? Not exactly. Bill quickly admits he only agrees with 2 commandments, don't kill and don't steal, while dismissing much of the rest. But then the conversation shifts from morality to openly mocking the character of God himself. And this is where things get really interesting, because sometimes the biggest debate isn't whether God exists, it's whether people are willing to accept who he is. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Now listen closely to what happens next.
Do you hope you're wrong?
People always are going to want it. People always are going to want to believe a story. It's much better than the truth, which is that things are random. We don't know the big questions. We don't know how we got here. We don't know why we're here. We don't know how the universe started. We're alone in the universe. You know, is there a God? What is the nature of God? Which one is the right God? We just don't. Nobody knows. I mean, that's why they call it faith.
Do you hope you're wrong? That's the most important question.
That's a great question. Well, how...
Do you hope there's a heaven?
I hope they figure out how I can live forever. I like it here. With you, Charlie, drinking this and smoking pot.
Fiji,
I'm having a great
I'll
time. I really can't imagine it better. I mean, I can't. And maybe it is. I'm sure it is. I'm sure, you know, people have...
But something in you probably hopes that, I don't know,
yes,
Hitler gets ultimate judgment, or the most evil things, right? Something in you wants to see your loved ones, and...
I don't think about Hitler.
No, but there's got to be a desire somewhere.
A lot of people just think about Hitler.
Stalin, Mao...
I know, but I'm just saying Hitler comes up a lot.
He
really...
Fair enough. Let's... that there's a desire that there's something beyond this.
Well,
that is just.
Okay. Yes, I do, but I mean, it's very hard to find that justice on earth. Ask an AIDS baby.
No, don't, Bill. That's why when you say, "Hey, I'm happy here," there's a lot of suffering on earth too, and that's the.
It is,
that's the Christian argument,
and
right?
some of it is you know, we obviously can see it comes from no bad deed done. You know, children with cancer.
Of course, it's.
And then they say, well, that's, you know, God works in mysterious ways, which is sort of a get out of jail card.
It's the
for
hardest,
any kind of non-thinking.
Admittedly, it's the hardest. We as Christians have to explain unjust suffering. Atheists have to explain everything else.
How do you explain it?
We don't. It's hard. It's a mystery. We can say God works in mysterious ways. We can say original sin. However, we don't have to explain creation or the miracle of life or love or justice or.
We don't have to explain it either because it's not explainable, because we don't know. We say we don't know. That's honest. You say, no, somebody told a story a long time ago, and we're going to stick with that. That to me, I'm not trying to be insulting.
You can't offend me, trust me.
Great.
I mean that. So you could be as crude or as blunt.
Okay,
I mean that. It's not.
But I find that intellectually embarrassing.
That's fine.
Now, to be fair, you have to appreciate Bill Maher's honesty here, because throughout this debate, something becomes very clear. A lot of Bill's objections don't seem to come from scientific arguments against God's existence. They feel much more personal. Questions about suffering, justice, why a good God would allow pain in the world. And to be honest, those are questions many people wrestle with. But here's what makes this interesting. There almost seems to be a part of Bill that wants something beyond this life, while also believing faith in the Bible is intellectually impossible. And this is where Charlie Kirk starts pressing even deeper. Listen to what happens next.
And so, is there any part of the Bible you think is true?
Well,
no, it's
true.
an important question.
Well,
meaning, like when they were documenting King David, like
yes,
was King David a real figure?
There are shards of it that are, I'm sure.
So Jesus was a real person.
Well, that we don't know. That is not a definitive.
Okay,
it really is not.
Like take Paul. We both agree Paul was legit and a real person. Paul was a Jew, persecuted Jews, and then had his, road to Damascus moment. Why would he do that? Except for the fact that he's crazy or like delusional. What incentive would Paul have to do that? Rich, ruling class, gave up everything.
You're saying to me, is there never a case of human delusion or mass delusion or people can be? Why
there's suicide cults? Of course there are. No, I acknowledge that.
The human capacity to believe what's not true, to believe what you want to believe, is infinite. I mean, you are literally the person I'm talking about at the very beginning of the movie Religulous, because the very first scene, I'm sitting in the car and I'm saying, the movie is not a spiritual quest. I mean, that's what we told them, so they'd sign the release. The movie is me saying, I don't know how it could be that so many intelligent people can wall off a part of their mind and believe in something that part of their mind must know is not true. That's the question I'm going for in Religulous. And like, you're obviously a super smart guy.
Well, and respectfully, you go ahead, sure. Yeah.
And I don't want to insult you on that. And I appreciate you saying that.
No, I mean, Bill, have you seen me go to college campuses? There's nothing that can
but you understand my question, right?
Interestingly, ironically, I have the same struggle. I don't know how somebody as intelligent as you, and I'm not trying to offend you,
cannot believe in a virgin birth?
Time out, hold on. All of that takes faith, I acknowledge, but that all of the fine-tuning of our universe, if any of those fine-tunings were off, a famous scientist...
Some of them are off.
A famous scientist said, to believe that the universe and the earth in its current composition was an act of randomness would believe that a hurricane would go through a junkyard and assemble a 737 flight-ready Boeing.
He's wrong.
Okay, that's fine, but there are so many fine-tuning aspects to our existence that I think defy the idea that this is all randomness and all chance. Now,
that's not logical. You're saying because I don't know the answer, I'm going to assume the answer must be that a divine intervention did it. That's not really a scientific way of looking at it.
The teleological view, not the cosmological view, is that all of these fine-tunings, when layered up one after the other, it defies, I think, reason to think that this is just a roll of the dice. That when you see a baby come into the world, when you see how we naturally heal, even consciousness itself, I think, is a pretty miraculous thing. To think that's all just a bunch of happy accidents. I think it's more rational to think that that's a byproduct of design.
Now, this is where the debate takes an interesting turn, because Bill Maher brings up a criticism skeptics often make. The idea that believers just say God did it whenever science doesn't have an answer. And to be fair, simply saying we don't know, therefore God would be a weak argument. But Charlie Kirk's point is a little different. He's not arguing from mystery, he's pointing to what he sees as evidence. The fine-tuning of the universe, the complexity of life, and the question of what caused everything to begin in the first place. And notice something important. Charlie isn't even arguing for Christianity yet. He's starting with a much simpler question. Could there be a creator behind all of this? Listen closely to what happens next.
You're saying some prime mover made it so these things happen. I would say, if a prime mover could do that, why don't skip all the suffering, and why don't you just get us to where we're the perfect thing? Why you need things, I don't know, but okay, the perfect being right away. We're somehow on this journey to being, completely immortal and healthy, I guess, and completely moral, and don't fuck each other up, and don't have sex with children, and all the bad things we do.
All the evil of our world.
Yeah, right. All the evil and the Holocaust. And why go through all that if you are a prime mover? I assume that means you can do anything, and just get us right to the end, and then we can just, why? Just a bunch of us walking around being perfect? I mean, why is that interesting to a God? The whole thing just don't make sense.
So that's a separate question, though, of whether or not there is something behind our existence. I mean, so we believe that the universe started with a big bang, Do you agree with that?
Yeah, but that's not the beginning of things. That's just the beginning of what the known universe is. The big question is what was before that.
And we believe it's a
right.
being, a God. That's
right.
That's always, that's a constant.
And look, I mean, you know, the misnomer about atheism is that we say, oh, there's no God. No, we just say we don't know. As Richard Dawkins always says, there's theism, which is belief in gods, and they used to believe in many, and then it got to one, and we just believe in one less. So there's just not.
How would you differentiate that from agnosticism?
There isn't.
Okay,
that's another thing that's bullshit.
No, I don't. I'm just asking a good faith question.
No, I think a lot of atheists think that. A lot of people on my team with this, they have that view that, you know, don't split hairs with the atheists and the agnostics. It's like, we're on some part of, I don't know, and I'll never know, so I really don't think about it a lot. I don't get up for church. I try to be a good person because I just think intrinsically it's good for society. It's good for me to be a good person as much as I can. And I don't need the threat of the pitchfork in the ass to do it.
Can I ask a question? So how But you even acknowledge, though, that some people act better if they feel as if they'll be judged eternally.
Totally.
Okay, no, that's a big admission. But
yes.
How do you think society best determines what is good?
That's a great question. I mean, isn't that what government is always wrestling with? Correct. What makes society good?
Do you think, even as an atheist, the Ten Commandments, the right side of the Ten Commandments is a good place to start?
The right side.
Well, because the left side, I think you'd have a big problem, right?
I have a problem with 8 of the 10 because only 2 of them are laws.
You got a problem with 8 of the 10?
2 of them are laws. Only 2.
What do you mean?
Don't kill.
And don't steal. Okay.
And don't steal.
Sure.
Like, I mean, this idea that God is this...
But you're good with those 2.
Like,
obviously.
The first 4 are just jealous God shit. It's just like, you know what?
No,
God,
honoring your parents is not jealous God stuff.
God's like a pimp who's in the next room, and he's like, who you on the phone with there, girl? You know, I mean, I guess I'm testing that.
Hold on, but no, it's, again, I'm not offendable on this, but I think you could, I know you made fun of it in Religulous.
And once again, you start to notice a pattern. Bill seems less focused on arguing against God's existence and more focused on questioning God's character. Questions about suffering, morality, and why God allows pain in the world. And to be fair, those are struggles many people wrestle with. But now the conversation shifts gears, because they move from morality to one of the biggest claims in Christianity, the resurrection. Listen to what happens next.
You might get stoned and be like, oh, Jesus, what? Are we kidding? Come back from the dead? No, I'm kidding. This is so Sunday's Easter. What are you going to do? Must be a big day. He is risen.
He is risen indeed, Bill. We're going to be celebrating the resurrection of our Lord.
Why do we say that in the present tense?
Because it is a constant truth in our life.
He is risen. I always noticed that was interesting to me.
That's a really important question, actually.
It is. Tell me.
Well, because the fact that he is risen transcends time. It's not just in the present sense. It's that of all time, that promise is accessible to all of us. And so it's a proclamation to all people. Because if you said, hey, he was risen, it's like, it's just merely a historical event. It almost underplays the metaphysics of it.
I'm just always fascinated the way really, really fine intellectual minds employ themselves for the purpose of arguing things that are so inarguable.
But
it does, because it's almost like a challenge. Like, I'm so smart that I can make this thing, which is so fucking stupid, seem like
stupid.
a real. I'm kidding.
No, it's fine.
No, but you get where I'm coming from. Like, I'm going to take something that is so anti-intellectual, even though I can argue like an intellectual.
However, but you have to acknowledge, even the greatest minds of history have been mesmerized by the scriptures. Isaac Newton, Thomas Aquinas.
Well,
Isaac Newton wrote more about biblical prophecy than even physics. And so there's something about the scriptures that are intellectual, that does push your limits. And that's what I think is so beautiful about our faith, is it can be accessible to everyone, but also infinitely nourishing in exploration.
Everybody's a monster till you talk to them. We're friends now, right? We really are.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And honestly, this might be the most important part of the entire conversation, Because after all the disagreements, the tension, and even the jokes about Christianity, they still end the discussion with respect. And there's something powerful about that. You can strongly disagree with someone's beliefs and still treat them with dignity. Now, listening to Bill Maher throughout this debate, one thing stands out. Many of his objections seem less about evidence and more about struggle. Questions about suffering, morality, and the character of God. And if we're honest, a lot of people wrestle with those same questions. The Bible even acknowledges that faith can seem foolish at first glance. The idea that salvation comes through Christ over 2,000 years ago is not something everyone immediately understands. But Christianity has always invited people to seek truth with humility, not pretending to have every answer, but being willing to ask deeper questions. And ultimately, that's the hope for anyone still wrestling with faith. Not pressure, not judgment, but an open heart to genuinely seek God. If you're still struggling with the intellectual side of Christianity, make sure to like this video and hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next one, because we'll be going even deeper into the evidence for God and some of the biggest questions surrounding faith.